is Long Way to the Top, and I'm your host, Shane Bryan. From the psychedelic poetry of The Real Thing to the blues-soaked grit of Sharkmouth and the Blues Trilogy, Russell Morris has lived every verse of Australian rock story. Across 6 decades, he's reinvented himself again and again and never chased trends, always chasing truth. And as he prepares to take his final bow and his final tour, we sit down with the man who didn't just witness the rise of Aussie rock, he helped write the opening chapters. This is Russell Morris, and this is Long Way to the Top. Welcome, Russell, to the show.
Thanks, Shane. Good to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. It's an incredible legacy that you're leaving behind, and let's just talk about this right from the outset. Final tour, that's it. We're opening a new chapter for Russell Morris.
Yes, I've worked, since 1967, everywhere in Australia, so many times, and with the demise of record stores, the way that at an alarming rate, they all just went down the gurgler. The change in streaming, where most people stream, you can't even buy a car now with a CD player in it.
No.
All those sort of things. The advent of AI, I don't really like in music, because even some of my peers, who shall remain nameless, are writing songs with AI.
Really?
And I just thought, I've been in the best era. I've really loved it. I will do these final concerts as to say thank you to the people, and also to make some money, of course.
Yeah.
But because when you retire, you're not going to be working. But I really want to go out and do that, and I want to cover all the eras that I've done. And I'm really looking forward to it, because the concert tour was a blast. That was unbelievable, with the big 56-piece orchestra.
That was phenomenal. Yeah, it was a symphony. It was just an amazing event.
Yes, it was a blast. The symphony, and arranged by the genius David Hirschfelder, which was just absolutely fantastic. And it was mighty. We're doing a fair bit of that this time. We've got strings and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be wonderful. And it's a good thing. But I'm coming down there with the Caprettos, the goats.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been a Capretto, and then you're not on this particular tour. Is that correct?
That's correct, because I decided to pull everything. But it was a bad timing with the management of the Caprettos.
Yeah.
They put the Caprettos out on the road 1 month before I do my final tour.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really do the Caprettos, do all that advertising, and then advertise my final tour. So I had to say to them, listen, I can't do it.
Yeah.
If it had been in May, yes.
Yes. I like how they've brought you in, and they've brought, Wendy in as well, some from time to time. And I think it kind of adds that extra, hey, it's the Caprettos and friends.
Yeah, they're a genius band. Anyone that goes to see them, like Ray and Jack and the whole band as musicians, and Dave, it's just incredible. They're an incredible band. And Joe Camilleri, God, when's he going to stop making albums?
I know.
I think he's done 53, and they're all great. They're a mighty band, and it's lovely to go out with them before I do my final tour.
Yeah. Let's take us back to the early days. Take us back to the beginning. What was the moment that you knew that music would be part of your life?
I'd always loved music, but I never saw it as a career. Well, no one did back then. It wasn't a career. And I was doing economics and accountancy. So that's what I was working on. And some friends formed a band and said, would you like to join us? And I said, oh, not really. They said, well, what about just over Christmas when you're not going to school? So I did that, and it sort of got under my skin a little bit. Then the next year, we had a hit record. So I said to my folks, I said, listen, I'm going to leave my final year of my diploma and do music, because I really like it. And don't worry, it'll be over in about 3 years. I'll be too old. So I'll go back and finish my diploma, pick up the subjects that I dropped, and then do a final year. And it never happened. And I think music got under my skin when I started writing songs. That was when it got into me, and I thought, gee, I really love this. I wonder how long I can do it.
Yeah.
Never ever imagining that it would go this long.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that breakthrough that you had, which was right at the very start, which was the real thing, groundbreaking song. I mean, what do you think it was that allowed it to become such a defining anthem?
The uniqueness, it was unique.
Yeah,
Because when I was recording with Ian, Molly Meldrum,
yeah,
we'd done about three songs, and I just said to him one day, I said, this is not good enough. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, these songs, I said, they're really nice songs, good songs. Because I said, for instance, John Farnham could record them, Ronnie Burns could record
yeah.
them, Normie Rowe could record them, all the acts that were around at that time. I said, all of them could do them. And he said, yes. I said, I want a song that none of them would even think about recording.
Mm.
And he got it straight away. He said, you know what? You're right. That's what we need to find. And the day that Johnny Young played The Real Thing in the dressing room at Channel 10, when I heard that umau, mamau, mau, umau, and I thought, gee, that's like that old Deltones song, Papa
Yes,
umau, mau, ba ba ba
yes,
I always liked that sound. And of course, it doesn't mean anything, but it had a really catchy 50s thing to it. And it was also psychedelic. And I thought, yeah, this is the song. And Johnny Young thought we were nuts. He said, that's not a solo artist song. You couldn't do that. And I said, just watch us.
yeah,
And of course, the genius of the song was in Ian Meldrum.
yeah.
And no one saw that it would turn out like that. I saw it as a good song, but no one saw it like Ian saw it.
He put his whole soul into that song.
He did, and he still talks about it. If
Yeah,
I'm with him, if he's anywhere, he goes back to the real thing and talks about those days. They're the things that meant the most to him, I think. Yeah.
and it's been redone multiple times by multiple artists, but it doesn't have the same, soul. It doesn't have that same energy.
Well, a lot of it was luck too. We had the group, the GROOP, which was Brian Cadd, Richard Wright, Don Moody, playing the basis of the tracks.
Yeah,
And if you really listen to it now, the feel is almost like an acid dance feel. It's like it's bordering on that funk. And also, if you listen to it done so far back then, Molly's bass sound and my vocal sound are incredible. What he got, the way he got that bass to pump and dance, and it just was magic the way it fell together. It was really,
yeah,
really good.
yeah, yeah. It was. Now you were part of the early scene. The rock breakout from the pub scene to the national movement. I mean, what do you remember sort of vividly about that period?
Well, the pub scene in Australia then was absolutely fantastic. You could work 5 days a week, 5 nights a week, and it was really open. There were bands everywhere, and there were new bands flourishing and building up, and it went into the 70s and the 80s, and it just became work, 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 work. Bands learnt their craft on the road and Australian bands were very proficient and played very well because they worked tirelessly all the time. So it was fun. It was a camaraderie. Back then, when we did a new song, I could go into town. I lived in Melbourne. I could go into the city and go to 3AW, go up to the receptionist and say, oh, is Stan Rofe here, or oh, there's the program manager here? And they'd say, yes, 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 come in. Go in. They'd invite you in. You'd have a cup of tea, talk about, here's a new record. What do you think of it? Oh, that's great. We'll play that. Those days are gone.
Gone. Yes.
You cannot go into a radio station. There's security doors. If you don't have an appointment, you can't meet anyone. It's very, very bizarre. And it's become corporate radio, commercial radio, like the big stations that do the multiple rotations of songs and the networks. You just cannot talk to anybody anymore.
Yeah, even from a regional
That's a bit
perspective,
sad.
we experience that. The music is organised through the network.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, you come into Launceston, I'll let you in any time. We'll sit down and we'll have a talk. We'll play a song. I guess
That's the difference. That's why
that is the difference.
Launceston's pretty healthy. The
Yeah.
big cities like Melbourne and Sydney and even Brisbane,
Yeah.
you cannot get in. You cannot even talk. You got to ring up and make an appointment. What's the appointment for? Well, I've
Oh,
got
I'm Russell Morris.
I've got
Do
a
I need an
song.
appointment?
Yeah. And they say, well, no, you really should. The record company really should push this. And I said, well, the record company don't push anything anymore except streaming. It's very hard.
It is. It is. Now, I mean, you've moved through, pop and rock and blues. I guess what was the pivotal points for that? What guided you through the different genres through your life?
Well, it wasn't a conscious thing. I love, if you got into my car, you'd be surprised at the variety. I've still got one of those old cars that had a CD stacker in it.
Oh, really? Wow.
You'd be surprised at the CDs that I've got. Like,
Yeah.
I'll Frank Sinatra, I may have Nat King Cole. I'll have Oasis.
Yeah.
I'll have Post Malone. I'll have Chris Stapleton. I'll have Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I'll have Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, John Lee Hooker, Howling Wolf.
Yeah.
So my genre has always been music,
Yes.
not style. When I first started in somebody's image, we were a blues, Tamla Motown type of band.
Yeah.
And when Molly came along, he got us to do Hush, which was a funk thing, which we really liked. But then he kept pushing me towards pop. And when pop worked for me, I thought, gee, this is good. I'll follow this road. I'm enjoying. Then I got sick of it, and I thought, hang on, I'm a little sick of what I'm doing because I can't do anything constantly without getting bored.
Mm-hmm.
So having said that, I've sang the real thing for a million years, but that's a different type of hat that I'm wearing. That's
Yeah.
like a performance hat. As is my writing is different.
Yeah.
And so when I did that, after I finished that period of the 60s, I started to write and just explore new areas because
Yes.
I like all styles of music. And I did like Sweet Sweet Love, Wings of an Eagle, and went into all that sort of stuff. Then came out of that and I came back from overseas. I'd been overseas, and that's when I made my mistakes.
Yes.
I started to try and chase the Pied Piper because I'd come back broke. I had no money, and I thought I've got to survive. So I looked at what people were doing,
Mm.
and I thought, oh, I should do that. I should do that. So I tried to copy what people were doing,
Yeah.
and it was a dumb thing to do, and it ground its way into the ground.
Yeah.
And I finally got to a point, and I thought maybe I should do some other other songs that I believe in, record what I should do. I did two albums that I really believed in. One called A Thousand Suns and one called Jumpstart Diary. But by that stage, radio were not interested in me.
Yeah.
I couldn't get any traction anywhere. So I thought, damn it, that's it. I won't record anymore. Then a mate of mine, Jim Keys from the Master's Apprentices, said, when are you doing a new album? I said, I'm not. And he said, why? I said, because it costs me a lot of money. No one buys them. And no one hears it. No one plays it. He said, you should be ashamed of yourself. I said, why? He said, if you were a master carpenter and you made beautiful cabinets, he said, you'd make another one and put it in storage. And I said, yeah. And he said, you should make another album, whether it sells or not. And he said, what are you thinking about? I said, well, I'm thinking about going back to my roots, what I started with blues and rhythm and blues. He said, if you do a blues album, please let me write a song with you. And he did. And a lot of the other songs I wrote with a Taswegian, a guy called Gary Page, who lives down south of Hobart. I wrote Sharkmouth with him and Big House and a whole lot of things like that. So we got it together, not thinking it would ever sell because I hadn't had any airplay with anything, but I did it out of love. And I wrote it about Australia, about Australian stories. And no one wanted it. Not one record company wanted to touch it. No, it's old hat. No one likes the blues. Blues don't sell. No one's interested in Australian history. So I said, all right. So I pressed 500 copies. I thought I'll sell them at the gigs to try and make some of the money back. And at the 11th hour, a company called Ambition took them, said, we'll run with it. And they did. And it just went through, like, went platinum, won an ARIA. and all the other record companies, I just loved seeing the egg on their faces when I turned up at the Arias and got the award. The look on some of the company execs' faces was great. It was so enjoyable. Not that I like to do that sometimes, but that in that particular case, it was great.
It just showed though that especially that, and then on to the next album, which was Van Diemen's Land, which was your highest selling album or highest ranking
Yeah,
charting
they were the highest
albums.
selling albums. The album that sold before them was Bloodstone back in the
Yes.
70s, 73 or something, but they eclipsed that by miles.
And it just goes to show that especially the Aussie music scene really lapped up anything that talked about our roots, anything that really dived into our past.
Yes, it was great. And I was really proud of the trilogy. And once I'd done the trilogy, what do I do? A fourth album and make it a quadrilogy? I thought, no, that's I've done it.
Yes.
I've loved it and I love performing them. I need to do something different. I want to dance a different dance for a while, you know.
Yeah.
So I did some other albums. I did an album with Bernard Fanning.
Yes.
And after that, I did an album with Rick Springfield in America,
Yes.
a Day of the Dead album, then another one. And
Great album. Yeah.
yeah, and they were done like actors because Rick and I are really good mates.
Mm.
And he saw Carmelita's Dance. Someone sent it to him, and he sent me a text and said, I am obsessed with that song. I'm obsessed with Day of the Dead. 2 days later, I got two songs from him dressed in complete Day of the Dead makeup. And I loved them. And the next text I got was, how about doing an album together? So we did an album together, which was sort of bluesy based.
Yes.
And then because I watched too much TV, too much Netflix, I thought I want to make an album and try and be an actor.
Yes.
Like when I sing, I want to be an actor, not a singer. So it was done very deep and it was like Netflixy type music. And that was fun for me, but I've done that. So that was it. And I don't know what I'll do next.
I guess there's been periods there where you've had these long stretches in the wilderness, and this show is all about long way to the top. What was the thing that sort of pulled you through? Was it phone calls from your friends or texts from your friends saying, "Hey, you should do an album, you should do this"? What was the thing that pulled you out of that wilderness?
You've got to always, a lot of people in the music business can't take the fact that one day they're the rooster,
Yeah.
then the next day they're the feather duster. You've got to be able to live with yourself if you become the feather duster. Some people can't live with themselves. They can't understand why they're not successful. They get bitter. They try this and then they want to give up, or they try. I think the thing is you keep swimming. I was fortunate enough to have a couple of hits in the 70s and 60s. So I'm in a big ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm swimming and I'm thinking, I'm going to drown here. Like I can't find any island. And I'd see a little lighthouse bell. I'd swim over to it and it'd be the real thing and Sweet Sweet Love. So I could keep my head above water by performing them and still doing them. But I always longed to swim across that ocean and find another island,
Yeah.
a fertile island of creativity that people would go, wow, he's still credible. And don't get me wrong, every artist thinks that. They may say the opposite. Every artist desperately wants to be credible. And I did, like everyone else. But I thought, well, if this is all I've got to be really grateful. But I've got to be positive. I've got to swim out there every now and then and risk the sharks and see if I can find that little island with the coconuts. And then you get tired and you swim back. Then you can't, and then one day you find that island. And I was fortunate. Some people swim all their lives and they don't find it. And I've known so many people in the music business who are so talented, and I'm in awe of what they do. And they've never had those freaky lucky breaks. So you've got to understand that the breaks that you get sometimes are freaky lucky. And 30% talent, 70% luck. And I'll give you an indication. When we started our first band, We were a little tiny little band, and a band had stolen the original band that I joined, their singer, and the guys out of a defect or a default, they went to me and said, "Will you sing with us?" Because Ronnie Charles was stolen by the group
Yeah.
GROOP. And they felt sorry for us and felt guilty. And they were playing in Anglesey in Victoria. And they said, "Would you guys come down and play one set?" Now, there were two benefits to this, which meant they didn't have to pay four sets. They could only play three.
Right.
We'd come in and do a filler. We didn't get paid. We just went down. So we go down, we play. Now, this is the odds of luck in the music business. We get up and play. Unbeknown to the group, all my friends are there because I used to surf at Torquay and Anglesey. We go on, they start cheering and stomping their feet. They've got a roadie with them. This roadie watches and goes, "Wow." And this roadie's been forever harassing the group saying, let me manager, and I can produce your records. And they said, "Go away. You're not a manager. You've got no idea. You can't produce records." So he approaches us and said, "Are you here overnight?" And they said, "Yeah, what are you doing tomorrow?" "We're surfing." "Where?" "I'll come and meet you." So he comes down and says, "Listen, I love you guys. I think you're great. Can I manage you? Can I produce your records? And I'll get you a record deal." Now, imagine doing this.
Yeah.
The guy's got no track record, and we meet him on the beach. We're all naive, and we go, "Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Let's do it." That guy turned out to be Ian Meldrum, who turned out to be the best record producer, the most incredible manager.
Yeah.
And what are the odds of that? The odds are like you could sit on any beach anywhere and someone come up to see your band and said, "Oh, let me help you." And they're just a bozo. And they've got no
Yes.
idea. The other luck I'm talking about, when I was doing the blues album, I'd written four blues songs, which were, I was trying to emulate my heroes like John Lee Hooker and Howling Wolf, and I was writing songs like them, and I felt a bit hollow.
Mm.
I went to Sydney, I was working up there, I picked up the paper, and the colour supplement was in there. I opened up the colour supplement, leafing through it, and here is a picture of Thomas Archer, who with his arrest photo. And I was galvanized. I thought, wow, this is incredible. These are mug shots. And I took it home. And his name was Shark Jaws.
Yes.
And I looked at it and I thought, this is great. And the guy standing behind him on the album cover is actually the cop that arrested him.
Yeah, right.
So I thought, wow, they did mugshots differently then.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are sitting in armchairs and everything. And one Sunday, when I think Richmond had played on the Saturday and I had nothing to do on the Sunday, opened it up and it spoke to me. It virtually said, "Bring me back to life. Write a song about me." I started and I realised right there and then where my blues and where my roots lay. They didn't lie in the Delta.
Yeah.
They didn't lie where John Lee Hooker grew up. And I thought, I'm trying to fake being a blues man when blues is in all of us, but our blues is the convicts that came out here and
Yes.
the Aboriginals that suffered under what happened and all the stuff that we went through. That is our blues, and that was luck that
Yeah.
came up. I didn't plan it. It was that light bulb moment of Thomas Archer reaching out from 100 years and touching me and saying, "Hey, bring me back to life."
And interestingly, if you hadn't have seen that article and that photo, Sharkmouth would never have happened.
Never would have happened, and that's the luck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Luck can come from the weirdest
Yes, places.
situations, and things can just come up, and yeah, that's weird.
You've seen a lot of incredible music throughout the years. If you could sit in on any recording session, again, yours or someone else's, what would it be?
Oh, the Beatles. I'd like to sit and watch the Beatles. I would have liked to have been down in Sun Records when Elvis did all that stuff and when Howling Wolf did all his stuff down at Sun. Probably, I'd like to see Crowded House record, sit in their studio.
Interestingly, I did an interview with a producer by the name of Youth that recorded their Together Alone album.
He did a genius job.
Incredible job.
I remember I was quite good friends with their mixer, and he came back and said, "Oh, we've recorded in a house." He said, "It's a bit messy at the moment. There's stuff everywhere." but they're going to send it over to Bob Clearmountain and get him to have a go at it. And when Bob Clearmountain did it, he rang me up and said, "You better come down and have a listen to this." He said, "It's just," and it was. And today, that's still my
It
favourite
is.
album, the Crowded House album, Together Alone. I love
Yeah.
it. Quirky and oh yeah,
It is.
good.
It's their best. It's their
Mm.
best. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I'd really love to know, though, I mean, you're at the end of your time now. You're doing your last tour, stepping out onto these venues for the last time. I mean, the emotion must be so high for you in stepping into this tour.
You've got to be very careful and not get overwhelmed with it. I
Mm,
remember the first show because I'm a big science buff. I
mm,
astrophysics, quantum physics, and particle physics. I love reading about.
yeah.
Half of it I understand, half of it I have no idea. DNA structure and the structure of our lives. I remember before I did the show in Melbourne, the first concert show with the 56-piece orchestra. I'm backstage, they're playing the overture, and I am really nervous.
Yeah.
And I virtually said to myself, "Hey, get over yourself. This is not you. You think you're walking out there, your mother and father's with you in your DNA.
Yes.
Your grandparents from either side are with you, all the way back to William Morris in Ireland and all those, and Apollo Morris and all those people. They're all with you and all on your mother's side as well.
Mm,
You're going out as a collective and you carry part of their DNA and you carry part of their DNA memory. So it's not you, it's them that brought you to this point."
mm,
And it gave me so much confidence.
mm.
And I walked out there and I wasn't nervous or anything. I just felt, yeah, we're meant, all of us are meant to be here.
I love that. Now you've outlasted several industry eras. Two more questions. What's one thing that's improved and one thing that you feel that we've lost in the music industry?
What's improved is being able to record at home and do really good stuff. But
Yeah.
that in itself has destroyed a lot of things.
Yeah.
When people recorded in studios, the experimentation was great. You tend to do it by yourself now, and things are done very precisely and done in layers.
Mm.
Like if I do a track, I'll put it down with an acoustic guitar and a drum,
Yep.
and then I'll put maybe the bass on, and then I'll put a little bit of a keyboards, and they're all layers that go on there. Whereas in the past, you would go into the studio, like the real thing. Roger Hicks wasn't even there to play that dong dang ga da ba dong dang go. So it just went boom boom
Mm.
like that. And he came in and he looked at it, and they all, if you notice the real thing, they all come in dribs and drabs to build it up.
Yes.
And that's the way we used to play.
Yes.
Everyone, you could probably do that at home. It takes too much thinking for me. And I think what's has really hurt the music business is the demise of record stores and
Yeah.
the demise of eras. I saw someone put it really wonderfully the other day. Go back to the 50s. Record companies and record stores and radio stations
Mm.
worked in tandem. The 50s sound, you know the 50s sound.
Yeah.
50s sound was big. Go back to the 60s. Record companies, record stores, and radio worked hand in hand. The
Yeah.
60s sound, the 70s sound, the 80s sound, the 90s sound, 2000. Now, what's the
Yeah.
sound of today? There is no definitive sound. People might say, "Oh, that's really good." But there's no, so radio is not pushing anything. They just push a wide array of stuff, which is good, but not good because it waters down a lot of stuff. If record stores were still going, it might be great. But streaming, I think, has really hurt the music business,
Yeah.
like the internet has hurt the retail business and many other businesses. And
Yeah.
AI will even hurt even more businesses. But it does have great benefits, but it also has the downside as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, if you could leave a message in a bottle for future Aussie musicians, what would it say?
Good luck. And that's what you need. You need really good luck. There will be big
Yeah.
stars that'll come
Yeah.
up, but
Yeah.
it's going to take a real big luck thing, someone recording at home, and because the problem is the megastars keep staying big.
Yes.
Every now and then they break through. I was encouraged though. I watched Aria here and I thought it was horrible,
Mm.
but I was encouraged. I watched the American Grammys,
Yeah.
the music show. I couldn't believe the variety they had and the quality of performance, which was like Bruno Mars singing with Lady Gaga,
Yeah.
California Dreaming. And that woman, I've forgotten the name with the shaved head, the black woman who was in Wicked, they did it, they did tribute to Quincy Jones. And she
Yeah.
sang Fly
Wow.
Me to the Moon. And I was gobsmacked.
Incredible voice.
And then they had a really good rap artist on. They had a really great variety
Yeah.
and really good songs. I thought, gee, this augurs well for maybe the future, hopefully, and young bands. I would hate to see it because you and I could write a song now in 10 minutes
Yeah. Yeah.
with Songer. Just get
Yeah.
on there, put the words in. I wanted to
Done.
sound like Paul McCartney, blah, blah, blah. Give me a good version of it. No, I don't like that. Give me another one. Oh, that's not bad. We'll take that bit. And no, give me another one. Yeah. And you can do it in no time. And I swear to you, there are people doing it now,
Yeah.
doing it a lot. And
Yeah.
they're editing what comes out and going, oh, I'll keep that section. Write me another one. Write me another. No, I put that section. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to say, don't rely on AI. Rely on yourself, because that's where the chart busters really came in back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll just, homogenize music. It'll become a billion bits of other people's work, and it's all homogeneous. It's like dancing with a broom in the dark because it's not responding. It's just spitting out information. I think connecting our neurons in our brain will spit out very, very different information. And I read the other day, which is really interesting, because as you know, I'm interested in science.
Yes.
There was a guy trying to predict weather patterns, and he was changing the figures, which causes entropy, which is like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
What will happen if I change that slight figure of the wind here or something there?
Yes.
And they did all that, and he said, "Wow, it was." So he thought, "I'll try it with AI," and he tried it with AI. AI couldn't get its head around it. AI can't predict empathy and
Entropy.
can't predict unpredictedness.
Yeah. Wow.
This stage, but that's where writing songs, because they're unpredictable. People do things that sometimes you go, what did he do there? That's amazing,
Yeah.
Whereas AI will take it where everyone else has gone, the same old trodden paths, and people will like following the Pied Piper. They'll dance up. They'll be happy to dance as long as it's got a beat and a bit of a thing. They'll be at the gym pedaling their bikes and doing all that. But the human connection is gone if it continues down that road.
Yes. And it comes back full circle to your song, The Real Thing. It's got to be the real thing. It can't be driven by AI. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Well, look, as you're stepping out onto the stage for the big final hurrah and heading to Tassie with the fabulous Caprettos, all the best at the end of the year. You're finishing up, yeah?
Yes, finishing up. I have said that if something really special comes up, like a charity big show, like a really big show, or a really one-off, I'd probably consider it. But I won't tour anymore because I'm at that stage. I've done it all, and I feel like I'm circling the drain.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is I'm glad that you're surrounded by mates in this final period as well, like the Caprettos. And you've certainly had a massive impact on the music industry. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'll make sure I put all of the details of the tour and also the fabulous Caprettos up on the description of the podcast as well. So
great, Shane. Will you get to come and see us while we're down there?
I'm hoping that I definitely will. And like I said, I don't know whether you're here.
Come backstage. Come back and say hello.
I will. Yeah. I would love to do that. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Russell, thank you for joining me on the show. Really appreciate it, mate.
Okay, Shane. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. See you, mate. Hit plus or follow to subscribe to the podcast, and head over to Facebook at The Long Way to the Top Podcast and give us a like. Keep on rocking, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Long Way to the Top.